ജ്ഞാനായ സമുദായത്തിലെ മാധ്യമങ്ങൾക്ക് പുനർവിചിന്തനത്തിന് വഴിയൊരുക്കുകയും തത്സമയ സംപ്രേഷണം HD മികവിലേക്ക് മാറ്റുവാൻ മറ്റു മാധ്യമങ്ങൾക്ക് പ്രചോദനമാവുകയും ചെയ്ത നിങ്ങളുടെ സ്വന്തം ജ്ഞാനായ പത്രം.
നമസ്കാരം. ഇന്നത്തെ ജ്ഞാനായ പത്രത്തിന്റെ ലൈവ് ഡിസ്കഷനിലേക്ക് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഏവർക്കും സ്വാഗതം. നമ്മളിന്ന് വന്നിരിക്കുന്നത് ഈ കഴിഞ്ഞ ഞായറാഴ്ച, അതായത് ജൂലൈ 20 ഒഫീഷ്യലായിട്ട് കാത്തലിക് മെട്രോപൊളിറ്റൻ ഹൗസിൽ നിന്നും ബഹുമാനപ്പെട്ട മാർ മൂലക്കാട് പിതാവ് ജനങ്ങൾക്ക് അയച്ചിരിക്കുന്ന ഒരു ഇടയലേഖനം അല്ലെങ്കിൽ സർക്കുലർ 302, അതിനെപ്പറ്റി ഒന്ന് ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടിയാണ് നമ്മളിന്ന് വന്നിരിക്കുന്നത്. ഈ ജ്ഞാനായ പത്രത്തിന്റെ ഈ ലൈവ് ഡിസ്കഷനിലേക്ക് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും സ്വാഗതം. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ഇന്നത്തെ ഈ ഡിസ്കഷനിൽ നമ്മളോടൊപ്പം പങ്കുചേരാൻ വന്നിരിക്കുന്നത് ഡോക്ടർ സ്റ്റീഫൻ പോട്ടൂർ. അദ്ദേഹം കാനോൻ ലോയിൽ വളരെ അധികാരിയുമായിട്ട് പഠിച്ചിട്ടും വളരെ നമ്മുടെ പല കാര്യങ്ങൾക്കും വേണ്ടി റോമിൽ പോവുകയും അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ എക്സ്പെർട്ടീസ് അവരോട് ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യുകയും മാത്രമല്ല ഇപ്പം നമ്മുടെ കമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റിക്ക് KCC അടക്കം KCC അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നമ്മുടെ ഡയസിസിന് വേണ്ടി പല അഡ്വൈസും കൊടുക്കുകയൊക്കെ ചെയ്യുന്ന ഈ നല്ലൊരു കമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റി സ്നേഹിയാണ്. അദ്ദേഹത്തെ നിങ്ങളുടെ എല്ലാവരുടെയും പേരിൽ ഞാൻ സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുകയാണ്. ഡോക്ടർ പോട്ടൂർ, പ്ലീസ് വെൽക്കം.
Thomas, thank you so much for having me on this show. I look forward to contributing whatever I can. Thank you.
നമ്മുടെ ഇന്നത്തെ മെയിൻ ഡിസ്കഷൻ കോട്ടയം രൂപതയുടെ മെത്രാപ്പോലിത്ത മാർ മാത്യു മൂലക്കാട് കഴിഞ്ഞ ഞായറാഴ്ച ജനങ്ങൾക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും പള്ളികളിൽ വായിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി ഒരു സർക്കുലർ ഇറക്കി. ആ സർക്കുലറിനെ പറ്റിയുള്ള ഒരു ഡിസ്കഷനാണ് നമ്മൾ ഇപ്പോൾ നടക്കാൻ പോകുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മുടെ ഈ സർക്കുലർ ശരിക്കും പറഞ്ഞാൽ കേരളത്തിൽ നിന്നും വെളിയിലുള്ളവർക്ക് അവരുടെ മെമ്പർഷിപ്പ് ക്രൈറ്റീരിയ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മെമ്പർഷിപ്പ് ഇഷ്യൂ ആണ് ഇതിൽ സംസാരിച്ചിരിക്കുന്നത്. ഇതിനെപ്പറ്റി കാനോൻ ലോ അനുസരിച്ചും ഇപ്പോഴത്തെ നമ്മുടെ കമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റിയുടെ സാഹചര്യം അനുസരിച്ചും എന്താണ് പ്രത്യേകത?
So, Thomas, do you mind me talking in English?
Oh, no problem. Go ahead.
I might feel a bit uncomfortable talking in Malayalam, but so, the gist of the entire letter from His Grace Mar Mulakad is that the issue of the domicile. And so if I may just read out my understanding of what was in the letter, because it was translated for me. So the general rule is that when a domicile is acquired in a new place, according to church law, the existing domicile is lost, has caused confusion for many people. However, according to this law, we do not lose our Knanite membership. And absolutely, he's right. We do not lose our Knanaya membership. But I think it would have been helpful if His Grace Mar Mulakad had clarified how one would lose his domicile. For that, I think, rather than just touching on the Eastern Canon 9:17, it would have been helpful if His Grace Mar Mulakad and his advisors had clarified that if there is an intention, and how do you determine intention? You cannot just read someone's mind. And so it's important that that intention be clarified, meaning if the Archdiocese of Kottayam gets something in writing from someone, like a member of the diaspora, saying that he or she does not plan to come back, they are planning to settle down. Now you have a documented situation where the person has in writing given, I don't intend to come back. And at that point, yes, that intention is clear. There is no ambiguity. And you can say that person has lost his or her domicile. What is confusing to the general public or to the Knanaya diaspora is where His Grace Marmulakat states when a domicile is acquired in a new place. And so you have to define what is a domicile. Just because you stay in a place does not automatically mean you have acquired domicile. If you don't have a residence, for example, then you don't have domicile. So those are things that should have been clarified rather than just putting it in a very um, ambivalent manner where it was confusing to the general public. I strongly believe His Grace Marmulakat, he may have had a good intention to clarify things, but it has backfired because rather than clarifying, it has caused even more confusion to the Knanaya diaspora. I did see a clarification letter that came out on the 25th. Let me see. It
Is it
was
from the
released from
diocese?
the Public
Oh,
Relations Office, Archdiocese of Kottayam,
okay.
dated the 25th of July. And it was a joint statement. And I also saw a video. But the gist of the whole memo was about domicile. And so there should have been a much more clarity given. For that, I would strongly recommend everyone, and if you don't have a copy of this, I'll be more than happy to send this to Mr. Thomas, and he can then put it on his website or put a link
Okay.
where Father Dr. Sunny Kokrawal, he is an eminent canonist. He currently teaches at the at the Oriental Institute for Canon Law. He's also a consultant uh, to the Oriental congregation. He has written an excellent piece on the domicile issue, and actually, and you can actually Google it, and you might be able to find it. It's called "Understanding Domicile and Quasi Domicile in Relation to the Syro-Malabar Migrants."
Okay.
Um, this is really a very authoritative, really written document. It clarifies things. So that is one part. The second part is we all remember what happened in Delhi, and this was as a result of the December 1, 2013 directives that was issued by His uh, um, Eminence Cardinal um, George Alanjeri, or his beautiful Cardinal George Alanjeri, where he stated, or his eminence stated, that you would lose your membership. Uh, and so the Syro-Malabar Catholics wrote a 151-page document. So they initially approached um, the representative of Rome in New Delhi, the nuncio, and when they did not get any response, they sent a 151-page document. And if anyone wants to see that, I'll be more than happy to share that with you all. In fact, one of the members, Korean Joseph, and I know each other. Uh, he's now based out of Los Angeles. He's one of the 9 people who are members of the Syro Malabar Church in Delhi that uh, drafted that letter. And as a result of that 2014 letter, they got the reply from the Oriental congregation, from none other than uh, the former prefect of the Oriental congregation, Cardinal uh, Leonardo Sandri, and also the then secretary of the Oriental congregation, His Grace Archbishop Cyril Vasil. And in that letter that was dated January 28th, 2016, it explicitly says how how a Catholic, a Syro-Malabar Catholic, could continue their what do you call life in the Latin Catholic Church without losing their membership. And and again, if anyone wants a copy of that letter, I will be more than happy to um, send that as well. Furthermore, fast forward October 9th, 2017, His Holiness Pope Francis, in a open what do you call letter to the bishops in India, reminded all the bishops of this letter or directive that was issued by the Oriental Congregation. So I think it is very important for our members to be educated, and for also for His Grace Mar Mulakad to call for an open dialogue and explain. And if there was miscommunication, then I think the right thing to do is to say, I'm sorry, this is not what I had intended. Here is the law, here are the documents, and you will not lose your domicile if the following conditions are met.
Okay.
On the other hand, if the following conditions are met, you will lose your domicile, and that intent has to be given in black and white, basically, because we cannot read someone's mind. And again, I would strongly recommend everyone, including His Grace Mar Mulakad, if he has not seen that, to refer to this uh, 34-page document written by uh, Reverend Dr. Sunny Kokrawal Lachan, who is, again, as I mentioned, is a eminent canonist, and he teaches Eastern canon law. And this was written as part of the studies for the Eastern legal thought, and it was published. um, it was published in 2020. So I think this letter for this directive from this circular 302 was poorly drafted, not well thought out, and it has caused more confusion. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
When so sorry, go ahead, please.
Yeah. Is that confusion cause people to react? I mean, as a fact, there are a lot of protests, and even some people are burned the circular last Sunday in front of the church, and it is insulting to the circle itself. Also, they are very upset with the Mar Mulakad.
So what do you call, when one refers to the Eastern canon law, canon number 15,
Uh-huh.
number 3, subsection number 3, it stipulates that in accord with the knowledge, competence, and position that the lay people or the faithful possess, they have a right at times to manifest it to the pastors of the church, their opinion that pertains to the good of the church. So do the people, do the lay people have an authority to voice their concerns? Absolutely. That is also in the canon law, canon number 15, Eastern canon number 15, subsection 3. So, again, if people feel that they are not getting justice from His Grace Mar Mulakad, or they are not getting audience with uh, what do you call Mar Mulakad, then they have a right to escalate this to the next level. And when I say the next level, I don't mean um, going to the civil courts. It's basically letting the nuncio know that, and the Archbishop of Kottayam know that they are providing a notice of intention to appeal to the Holy See to provide a better clarification.
Okay.
When you read that, you say, when you lose your, so if I go back to the document, when you lose your domicile. But how do you go about losing your domicile? What are the conditions that you do not lose your domicile? That should have been clarified.
Okay. So let me clearly ask these questions. So when the people are concerned, if they leave from India or Kerala, they will lose the membership of Archdiocese or their current church. That makes a lot of people upset. So how do you explain that? That is how that happened.
So again, I don't agree with that assertion. As I mentioned, only when you acquire a new domicile, and to acquire a new domicile, certain conditions have to be met.
Okay.
And one of those conditions is letting your intention know in a documented fashion. If you write and tell the local priest or the pastor of the church in Kottayam that, hey, I no longer will be coming back here. I have no intention of returning to say Kottayam or Kadaturthi or wherever the place is.
Okay.
Now they have the written document. But they cannot just presume or assume that just because someone has gone to the United Kingdom or New Zealand or say Africa or US, Canada, whichever country, that they will automatically, they have decided not to come back. That is not for the church to make that decision. It is for the individual to make that decision. Does it make sense?
Yeah, but the problem we have in America, we already decided we are belongs to Diocese of Chicago. I mean, I know there are a lot of fighting regarding it. Okay, not everybody accepting it, but that is a fact. So I don't think there is much issue going on in America, but in UK and Australia, there is a big issues going on because a lot of people resist to join the Knanaya mission, and this circular is really forcing them to join the Knanaya mission. They do not want to join.
Yeah. So whether this
Does that make sense to you? Or?
So let me clarify that a bit. Whether we like it or not, whether there is a memo in writing or not, the fact that you are in a foreign country, there's going to be only one bishop that has jurisdiction over you,
Right.
you like it or not, and that would be the bishop who has been rightfully put in place by none other than the Pope. So whether we like it or not, we by default would be members, but that does not necessarily equate to domicile, because to your previous church or membership in the Kottayam diocese, you have to let them know of your intention. And how do you let them know of your intention? That later on cannot be contested. It has to be in black and white.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we have to respect the bishops. We may not agree with everything, but it is the Pope that put in place the local bishop here in the US and has given provisions. For example, the Knanaya region, and even though it is not up to what we really want, but that's what they have given us. And if I may just, can I explain a few more things related to that?
Sure.
So, in 1986, there was a script or a response issued to the Archbishop of Chicago, Cardinal Joseph Bernard, if I'm not mistaken. That was issued on the 30th of January 1986. But this was as a result of the request that came from none other than the Cardinal from Chicago.
Okay.
in my communications with the Oriental congregation in the last year and a half, this is before the current prefect was put in place, the previous prefect. I had
Okay, you know what?
black and white. This
Just let me pause for a minute because we do have some sound issue. So let me take a small break and I will be right back. Okay. So we were discussing about the current issue of the Kottayam Diocese, which is the circular 302. So we are talking about the latest development about, right? Please continue.
Yeah.
Dr. Pootor.
Okay, so do you want me to continue about since I already discussed about the 302 memo, do you want me to continue the discussion about the 1986 script?
Yes, it is finish that one.
Okay. So in my communications with the Oriental congregation, with the then prefect, Cardinal Leonardo Sandri, and also with just with him and with what do you call? I can't get the other person's name. There were several documents that was exchanged, um, and so the response I got was based on the documents that you have submitted. It appears that the 86 script should not have been issued, and I was surprised. Should not have been issued. Okay, that is great. So the next question is, how can we get this suppressed? Well, this being an ecclesiastical matter, it needs to be initiated by the Archbishop of Kottayam. And so I have not made this document public, but when Mar Mulakad, His Grace Mar Mulakad does come here, I intend to show him that. And I think if that document can be suppressed, the 86 script can be suppressed because you have some responses now from Rome. Then,
So are you telling that 1986 rescript can be suppressed by the Rome if the Matthew Mulakad requested?
So now His Grace Mar Mulakad has not seen those communications that I've had with Rome.
Okay.
So, if I'm able to have that in-person meeting here when he comes to the US, I will not be able to go now anywhere now to India because I've just taken up a new job in another city, and I'm tied up with all that. So when he does come, I think he plans to come sometime, and I plan to show him those documents. And if he's also convinced, then I think uh, the right thing to do is to initiate the process to have it suppressed. And what I was trying to also say is in January or February of last year, 2022, in my conversation with this eminent uh, canonist, where the members of the KCCNA executive under the leadership of Mr. Kovakatal, they joined, and it was actually organized by them. We had, I think, several meetings related to the DKCC issue. And so one of the questions I asked is, which I know the answer, I asked this eminent canonist, can a rescript that was issued in error, can it be suppressed? And the answer was absolutely yes. I know that is the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, if the Rome made a mistake long time ago, the Pope publicly apologized for a lot
That's
of
right.
things.
So,
Yes.
like I mentioned previously, and I'm not sure if it came on the video, but I think it was in 2021 or 2022. Pope Francis um, had visited Canada, and he apologized to the um, Canadian Indians, the native Indians,
Canadians.
for the mistakes and the harm caused by the church.
Yes.
And so that is the right thing to do. When we make a mistake, we own up to those mistakes. We go to confession. Um, what is good for the goose is good for the gander. If we are asked to confess our sins, then the church certainly is in the same position to do the same thing. So I think there is a real good shot at getting that 86 script suppressed, and then going to the next level, which is looking at the possibility of having our own diocese here in the US. Now, I've had many communications with, um, what do you call, with the current bishop before he became the Archbishop Bishop of Chicago, Joy
Oh,
uh,
Joy,
Joy
Joy Alapar. Yes.
uh, His Excellency, and so he's very supportive of the Knanaya the Knanaya diaspora. However, what we need is a system similar to what we have back in India, and by suppressing the 86 script, we should be able to have the very same system everywhere in the world,
Okay.
because what has been issued here is being used as a road in UK and in Australia slash New Zealand.
Hmm.
And so, I think the right thing to do is to get this thing suppressed and move forward. But
Okay.
also, as I mentioned with this letter that was issued on the 23rd of March, sorry, 23rd of July, um, that the circular 302, that
Yes.
should have been clarified. It caused more confusion. How does one lose his or her membership or domicile? That was not clarified. And as I mentioned, um, Father Kokrawal, Dr. Sunny Kokrawal, has written a 32-page, um, what do you call, write-up about this um, domicile and quasi-domicile for the Syro-Malabar Catholics, diaspora essentially. And that gives you clarity where it states clearly the intent has to be demonstrated. How do you demonstrate intent that you are intending you're not intending to go back to Kerala or to India? By putting it in black and white. If not, you cannot say just because you have a house here doesn't mean that you're not going to go back. I have
If
two apartments in Kottayam. I have a house in Dallas. And so you can't say I'm going to be here permanently.
right.
Just because I've got my US citizenship doesn't mean I'm going to be here permanently. I can renounce it
Okay.
if I need to.
So
So
the main question, like we have this issue from the Archbishop Mulakad Pidav. If you stay away from Kerala, you're going to lose the membership of Kottayam, and then it is not acceptable for the common Knanaya people. That was a reaction done by the burning the circular in all over Kerala or Kottayam diocese.
right. And like I mentioned, as I mentioned in Canon 15, subsection 3, the common man, based on the knowledge that they possess, they do have a to exhibit their frustration and inform the bishops. Now, if they were not given an audience, then they had to do a symbolic protest, and that's what you saw.
Okay. Now, I mean, I really appreciate your time and taking time for this explaining the whole background. So, as you explained, if this is solved, the 1986 rescript is solved, we will solve the whole problem, because if we have our own diocese in Chicago, I mean, not in America, and also in UK and Australia, I don't think there is an issue. We wanted to continue the membership in Kottayam diocese.
Right. So, they could, yeah, for example, just like what they did in Canada, they could start it with an exarchate or even a vicariate. The exarchate is the smallest form of a diocese, and then elevate that to an eparchy. And so, or you could have just like you have um, I'm not sure who's the new person now, but there was Stephen Cherpanatha who was put in charge uh, of all over Europe except UK for the Syro-Malabar diaspora members. So there is already a precedence in the Syro-Malabar Church of having an apostolic visitor for a multi-country jurisdiction. The Melkite Church has that in the Middle East. The Maronite Church has that in the Middle East. So there is nothing that new that we will have to be asking for. We could use the existing system to have one of the bishops that comes from Kottayam could be could be in charge of the multi-country jurisdiction outside of the US. So there are ways to do that. I think Mar Mulaka may be trying to do the right thing, but unfortunately, the message that is coming across doesn't appear to be like that, and it is causing a lot of discomfort and concern and frustration amongst the diaspora, and now among the normal people, the residents in Kerala.
It's reacting. Yeah, it's a reaction is extreme, and it is not appreciated by the common people. A lot of other people also, especially the people who like the church and who like the authorities, church authorities.
Right. So
now we have bring a conflict among the people because of all this issue.
You could even say this is equivalent to social injustice. And as I mentioned previously, the Catholic, the CCC, the Catechism of the Catholic Church, 1938, explicitly talks about social injustice and how it should be. So you have the canon, Eastern Canon number 15, subsection 3. You have the Catechism of the Catholic Church, 1938, talks about the social injustice. And again, you have it also in several areas, but that comes out of my mind is Genesis chapter 1, verses 26. It talks about how we were created in the image and likeness of God, and therefore we have a responsibility to rise up whenever there is injustice. And that's what our brethren are doing back all over the world, back in India, in the UK, everywhere you see these protests. So I think it is very important for our Archbishop to take the time and meet with the concerned representatives. We may not be resolving everything, but some form of a clarity letter from the bishop is important. The letter from the the public relations office does not cut it. It has to come from His Grace Mar Mulaka.
Okay. I hope he will do it soon. I'm reaching out to the VG regarding these letters, and of course we will have a more discussion about it. So thank you very much, Dr. Stephen Pootor, for taking your time and discussing about the canon law and what is we can do for the future. So we are really appreciative.
So shall I sign off?
Yes.
Shall I sign
Thank
off?
you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
So we have a discussion with the Dr. Stephen Pootor, and we will have continue the more discussion with the people from Kerala. So stay tuned for that.
Knanaya സമുദായത്തിലെ മാധ്യമങ്ങൾക്ക് പുനർവിചിന്തനത്തിന് വഴിയൊരുക്കുകയും തത്സമയ സംപ്രേഷണം HD മികവിലേക്ക് മാറ്റുവാൻ മറ്റു മാധ്യമങ്ങൾക്ക് പ്രചോദനമാവുകയും ചെയ്ത നിങ്ങളുടെ സ്വന്തം Knanaya പത്രം.